What's up, everyone? It's Cannan back with another video, and today we're actually talking about a subject that is based around the name of the channel, and that is Dragon Ball Z. A new trailer for Sparking Zero came out, and we've got an early look at the roster, and boy, it's got people talking. Sorry about how I look. I just got out of the shower. Trying to get this video recorded and out really quick because it's after 6 p.m. already, and we've not posted anything. Real quick, just some homekeeping stuff to do. Thank you all for all the views on the OhioCon video. Me and Jess are shocked that an over-hour video that was not Ruby related did as well as it did, but we were very happy to get the word out about the things going on with that convention, and we've reached 770 subscribers. Thank you very much. That puts us 30 away from 800. We're getting closer and closer to our goal of 1,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. It means the world to us, and please, if you see this video and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and getting us closer to that goal. Also, it was announced today there's going to be a Sony State of Play this upcoming Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do plan to react to that, but sadly, I won't be able to the day of because of work. So I'll probably be off Twitter and all that all day Thursday until I can get it up on Friday, maybe Thursday night. We'll see. But anyway, let's talk about the video. So please subscribe, hit the notification bell, click that like button, all that good stuff if you enjoy our content. So Sparking Zero has a long history, and there's a lot of reasons why fans, including myself, are excited about this game. Now, long time ago, back in the mid to late 90s, there were not a lot of Dragon Ball Z video games out that time. Really, there was only one that many knew of, and that was Dragon Ball Final Bout, or as many others would come to call it, Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. And it was released about, I believe, 97. It was a little bit before Dragon Ball really blew up in the West. And so there was not a lot of copies that were released. I've heard between 100 copies to 1,000 copies. And so by the time Dragon Ball really blew up and people started looking for it, it had went up in price substantially. I think by the late 90s, when we actually got internet in our house and I was introduced to eBay, I looked it up and it was over $100. It was eventually re-released on the PlayStation 1 officially as Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. Not an amazing game. The graphics, even for that time, weren't that great. The voice acting was not left a lot to be desired, and it actually had more of a Dragon Ball Z roster than a GT roster. I mean, it had adult GT Goku, which technically didn't really exist much in actual GT, but it had Super Saiyan 4 and all that in it. But all that changed with the release of Dragon Ball Z Budokai on the PlayStation 2. I was very excited about this game when it came out. I asked for it that Christmas, and that was the first Christmas where I didn't go to bed. I stayed up all night, all the way into Christmas morning, playing this game, because my parents would usually let me open one present on Christmas Eve, and they made sure this was the one I opened. And I spent the entire night playing through the story mode, unlocking all the characters, trying to beat all 3 tournament modes, all that good stuff, collecting the Dragon Balls so I could unlock everyone's breakthrough capsule, which would allow you to use all of their skills while taking up all the space for your capsule. Only thing I didn't like about it, though, is that it only went to the Cell arc. But they did release sequels, Budokai 2 and Budokai 3. Budokai 3 to this day still being a lot of people's favorite Dragon Ball Z game. But then after Budokai 3, a little game on the PlayStation 2 called Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi came out on the PlayStation 2. And this one was very different. There were no in-game transformations. That's right. Base Goku, Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan 2 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and Super Saiyan 3, 4 were all separate characters. If you wanted to be a Super Saiyan in a fight, you had to pick Super Saiyan Goku. And it was the same for everybody else. Vegeta, Gohan, Goten, Trunks, Cell, Frieza, all of them. If they had a transformation, their transformation was actually a separate character. It created a larger roster. And unlike the Budokai games where it was like standard fighting game where two characters were on the screen like this became an over-the-shoulder fighter. Now, of course, I didn't really like the character transformations as separate characters, though it was kind of how classic Dragon Ball Z fighters that were released in Japan were done, but I prefer in-game transformations. That's just how I am. But then we had Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2, which brought in-game transformations, but if you wanted to play as the transformation as its own character, you could. But this is where the roster got bigger. As you can see reflected on Trunks' sword, you could literally, this was a game you could play as Kid Goku, all the way to Super Saiyan 4 Goku. It literally had characters from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT, and the Dragon Ball Z movies in the game. And then, of course, that leads us to what many consider as to this day the greatest Dragon Ball Z game of all time, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And man, the roster on this game. There are characters in this game that are playable that have never been used in a game again, like Dr. Willow from The World's Strongest, the brain inside of his robotic body. He's a playable character. Never been used again. Several characters from Dragon Ball, like, the fighters from Fortune Teller Baba's tournament, they're playable in this. There are so many characters in this game, and that's one of the reasons why many people love it. The story mode is one of the longer ones that any Dragon Ball Z game has ever had. Now, for me, the one drawback I had, even when this game came out, was that, yes, it's got a large roster, but what did that lead to? Moveset clones. Yeah, there's a lot of characters that have attacks that are very much the same as others. Like, you can tell they couldn't come up with unique fighting moves for every single character, so a lot of them got copy and pasted. That was my only critique of this game, and a lot of the fights can be very hard. There was actually one, I think, in the original one where you had to fight Kid Buu as Mr. Satan, and that fight still gives me nightmares trying to get through. But even the Kid Buu fight with Super Saiyan 3 Goku in that game was hard. So yeah, a lot of the fights could get very, very difficult, and that's kind of what a lot of people loved about this game. It didn't really hold your hand in some fights. There was a learning curve to some of the fights. Now, Budokai Tenkaichi's fighting system was so popular that for several series, including the Raging Blast series and even the Xenoverse series, uses its over-the-shoulder kind of fighting style. And really, besides Burst Limit and maybe a few other games around that generation, they never really went back to the two fighters on the screen, the classic fighting game way. Now, of course, Raging Blast sadly didn't last that long. It only lasted 2 games. Xenoverse, of course, being another game that's, well, I take that back. Fighter Z, of course. Fighter Z went back to the 2 characters on the same screen, but it's a more classic fighter. It like with Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and all that. It was meant to be more like your classic arcade fighter. So Fighter Z being the exception. And of course there's Kakarot, which is more of an RPG-like game, but it still uses Budokai Tenkaichi's way of doing fighting, which is more from behind the shoulder, behind the back of a character. And so that's where Budokai Tenkaichi's legacy has kind of carried over into these other games. Now, of course, Xenoverse 3 is starting to reach levels that Sparking Zero had, in that when are we going to get it? Like, because me personally, Xenoverse 2 has been supported way longer than Xenoverse 1 was, but way longer than I ever anticipated it to be. Like, Xenoverse 2 has lasted so long that I think they've had enough time to work on Xenoverse 3 to where if created Saiyan's hair does not spike when they transform without mods, I'm going to be very, very mad. But that leads us eventually to a little game that came out called Ultimate Tenkaichi. This poor game. Like, when this game was coming out, people had such high expectations for this game. For one, it once again uses Budokai Tenkaichi's fighting style of being behind the shoulder, behind the back. But the name doomed it. Everyone expected this game, just because of this title, to be like the Budokai Tenkaichi games, a large roster. It also was the first game that would let you create your own Saiyan. Nowhere near as broad as the Xenoverse series, but it was still a series first. But the name was actually the result of a fan vote. Bandai asked, hey, what should the name of the game be? They gave you these options. Ultimate Tenkaichi won, but still, there's a lot of people that didn't know that, so because of the name, they expected this game to be the closest we had gotten to Budokai Tenkaichi 4, and it was not that. The game was full of quick time events. It really did not feel like a fighter, and the story mode with your created character left a lot to be desired. So now that leads us to this says Dragon Ball, but is it not Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero? I don't know. But it leads us to this game, which is technically Budokai Tenkaichi 4. Even though the name is different, it is literally what this game is Budokai Tenkaichi 4. And that has led a lot of people to wondering what the character roster is going to be like, because that's what we're expecting, that large roster. Now, I'm going to pick up the roster map. It's going to completely cover the screen. It's going to cover me up. But this is what it looks like so far. This is what they have confirmed to us. Now, for one, look at the amount of empty spaces that we do not know about. That is crazy. Now, they have released a list. It says the first 24 characters of the Dragon Ball. Okay, so it is Dragon Ball. It's not Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero roster are officially revealed. So for one, for them just calling it Dragon Ball, that's great because it means it's not going to be just related to Z. But we already know that because we already know that characters from Super and transformations from Super are more than likely going to be in this game. So one look at this character roster as far as the list goes, if you never got to play a Budokai Tenkaichi game, you are going to be completely floored by this roster list. But if you played any of the Budokai Tenkaichi games, this is what you expected. I'm not going to read all of it because it's very repetitive, but let's look at it this way. We have Goku, Z, early, Goku, Z, mid, Goku, Z, mid, Super Saiyan, Goku, Z, end, Goku, Z, end, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Goku, Super. Now, for some reason, Goku Z mid Super Saiyan is listed twice on this, but I think it actually means super. But I think it might be just a typo, because then it's Goku Super, Super Saiyan God, Goku Super, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan Blue. Now with Vegeta, we have Vegeta Z Scouter, pretty much evil Vegeta from when he was first introduced in the series. Grade 8 Vegeta, that's another thing. The Budokai Tenkaichi games would also allow you to play as the Grade 8 versions of the characters. They even created things we didn't see, or like Grade 8 Raditz, Grade 8 Nappa, which never showed up in the actual series, but you could play as those. Vegeta Z early, Vegeta Z early, Super Saiyan, Super Vegeta, Vegeta Z End base, then Super Saiyan 2, then Majin Vegeta, and then of course Vegeta from Super. So now of course we know by the trailer and by just looking at this that Goku and Vegeta and all their forms are not just the 24 characters confirmed. We've got Krillin, we've got Yamcha, we've got Tien, we've got Piccolo, we've got Mr. Satan, we've got Majin Buu, we've got Perfect Cell, we've got Frieza in his final form, we've got Android 18, we've got Android 17 from Super, we've got Jiren, we've got Trunks from Super, we've got Trunks from the Cell Arc in his Saiyan armor, we have got Bergamo, we have got Broly, and we've got Super Saiyan Broly. So a lot of people, like I said, were confused by this, by the amount of Goku and Vegetas, but that's to be expected. What this means is that you're literally going to be able to almost play as every incarnation of Goku and Vegeta, and they're all separated into different eras of the series. If you want to play as Goku at the beginning of Z, where he fought against Raditz and Vegeta and Nappa, and the only power-up he has is Kaioken, you can do that. Do you want to play as Goku when he just had Super Saiyan when he fought Frieza? You can do that. But the transformations will also be standalone characters that you can play as that you won't have to transform into if you don't want to. Now, like I said, it's got Perfect Cell on here. I very well can see Imperfect Cell and Semi-Perfect Cell and maybe even Super Perfect Cell being characters as well. Same goes for all of Frieza's forms. I'm sure we'll get a version of Krillin where he had hair in the Buu arc and all that is concerned. I'm very well expecting to see a bunch of characters from Super, like Goku Black, Kale, Caulifla, Hit, all of them being in it, and all of them having their transformations that can also be played as separate characters. Now, will any GT characters be involved? I don't know, but more than likely, or who knows, we don't know if they plan on some characters being DLC or whatnot, but that is what we are looking at now. So yes, this character roster is going to be huge, and yes, transformations will be considered as separate characters because you can play them as separate characters, or, like I said, you could play as Goku from the end of Z, and he'll be able to go all the way up to Super Saiyan 3. With Super, it looks like they're only including Super Saiyan God, and Super Saiyan Blue. No word on Ultra Instinct as of yet. We don't know if Vegeta will be able to go into Ultra Ego because it's not been animated yet, but then again, it is in the manga. We don't know if any of the current villains that have been shown in just the manga, like Moro, are going to be in it. We don't know if any movie characters are going to be in it besides Broly, which was a Dragon Ball Super movie, but it's canon. It's canon to the events of the anime. We don't know yet about Turles, Dr. Willow, Lord Slug, Cooler, the Z version of Broly. We don't know yet. And we don't know yet on any of original Dragon Ball characters yet. But yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to do a little video on this because it is near and dear to my heart. I loved these games as a kid. I still love Dragon Ball, even though I don't talk about it a whole lot on the channel. But yeah, that's my little video on the character roster that we have been shown so far. And hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Don't know what the video on Wednesday will be. But yeah, hopefully I can get the reaction of the State of Play up for you guys as early as Thursday. I could try for Wednesday night, but I don't think I'll be able to. So I could release it on Thursday, but Friday at the latest, guys. That's what I'm aiming for. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like I said, subscribe, hit the notification bell, click that like button, all that good stuff. As always, guys, this is Cannan. Me and Jess love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.